Let's get it rolling. What's going on, everyone? When I get y'all up here. There we go. What's up? Dark to light, Canadian. Hello. Now that I've talked to a few of you last night on video, I don't know who's who. I gotta find out who's who. Hello, Esther. How are you? Tony in Michigan. Tony, get Michigan set straight up there. Washington, John. Hello. Oh, I lost all your pictures tonight. There's no pictures tonight. That's weird. Software. Whatever. Regina from North Carolina. Tanya from Texas. Nancy in Oak Harbor, Washington. Nancy, I hope you're doing well. Robin in Florida. Any first timers here or first timers last night on the Crazy Show? Any first timers there last night? Let's see here. They're going so fast I can't even read them. Cam. I am exhausted. Yes, I'm not going to lie. I will admit that. That's why this is going to be a more efficient show. And then I'm literally going right from here to bed after this because I got to work the rest of the week. Let's see. Rebecca from Idaho. Hi, Becky. Becky from Idaho. You're amazing. Susanna, Melbourne, Australia. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Clinton, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, turn that state red all the way. Wisconsin. Voter fraud, Minnesota, no doubt. I believe Minnesota was going to go red. That's my opinion. Project Veritas was in Minnesota. Just remember. Okay? We're going to talk about some stuff tonight. We're going to talk about some stuff. Desiree, what's going on? Pinellas County blue. What the hell is with that? And was it Anna Paulina? She lost. Oof. I think there's voter fraud across the board. That's just my opinion. I don't think it was just at the presidential level. I think it was across the board. Northern Ontario, Canada, welcome. Alberto from, I think it was Texas? But Alberto, hello. Arizona's going to flip red too because guess what? They called it too early. On freaking purpose. Thank you, Rowan. New Zealand, I appreciate it. Welcome, Charles. Hello, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see. Arizona is going to turn red. Yeah, as of last night, I think there was like 1 million votes that weren't even counted yet, and they were going into MAGA country, basically, to count. So, no way. And I'll go through some of that tonight. I'm going to hit on some points, but I'll tell you it's going to unfold, so I'm not going to go crazy on it tonight. There's really majority one thing I want to go over with you guys tonight. Dr. Tina St. John, who is messaging me most of the day, as always, we had some conversations, and let me just tell you, get ready for what's coming. Now, Jason Q was gonna come on tonight, but I called it off myself, not because I don't love Jason, but if I get Jason on, we'll go 2 freaking plus hours tonight, and I don't have a. You know what it is? If I'm woken up throughout the night, which I don't, like if my daughter wakes me up throughout the night, like if I get up a couple times, I'm okay. Like I can deal with broken sleep. But if I do the whole like when I was back in college, you know, you had a night out or you were working on a paper or studying for a test, there's like a cutoff point. So if I'm home on a Friday night or Saturday night and I'm like working and doing stuff, I can do like 1 o'clock in the morning, go to bed, wake up without an alarm clock, and I'll be perfectly fine. And that's cool. However, I have learned, I have learned my lesson that about 1:30, 2 a.m. is a line in the sand cutoff point. Because once you pass that like 2 a.m. cutoff point, you feel like hell the next day. So I slept from 3ish until I think I woke up at 6:30 and snoozed till about 7, and then and I woke up literally with the hangover, which I don't drink, and you saw I had some electrolytes here, some coffee, and some food, and that's all I had. So it was the old school all-nighter feeling like crap hangover the next day. So that's why Jason's not on, because I told him, hey, we're going to do a quicker show tonight, and he'll be back on later this week just because I got to shut it down for a little bit after last night. But I had a blast, And keep in mind, we're going to do some more of the call-in stuff because I actually had a lot of fun with that. We're not going to do it tonight. Um, we'll do it maybe later this week or into next week. But I want to tell you, it was a pleasure meeting all of you out there who came on. And for anybody who we didn't get on, don't worry. I'll do it again. It was a blast. It was fun. And it's really just a pleasure meeting all of you out there. It's an honor for me to talk to you. I really, really do enjoy it. And you are fantastic. And all of you out there, learn from the ones that called. It's not that hard, okay? Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network, your source for health, freedom, and knowledge. Post-election hangover. At no point last night, at no point did you hear me get worried, get concerned, get scared, freak out, etc. As a matter of fact, before the president even came on, and I am not a political science major. I do not have the statistics that the people in the media have behind the scenes, even though the mainstream media sucks and doesn't know what they're doing. But the War Room had some good ones. Newsmax did have some good ones, but I don't have their information. But quite honestly, it isn't freaking hard math. I showed you last night. When everything had halted, right? When everything had halted, if you just add up the ones that were red, he gets to 290. Game's over. That's simple. And then even if you give Nevada at the time to Biden, I think the most could have got at the time like 240, something like that. Like, it was over. That's why they stopped. That's why they stopped the counting. And not only did they stop the counting, they drove in the fraud, which we're going to talk about a little bit. But before I do that, let me take you to some very important words.
If you are awaiting a finding of clear and present danger, then I can only say that the danger has never been more clear, and its presence has never been more imminent. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. It conducts the Cold War, in short, with a wartime discipline no democracy would ever hope or wish to match. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
Now I have to give credit for that. That credit goes to Amazing Polly. She posted that today. Okay, I want to make sure that she gets credit for that. Amazing Polly. I don't always agree with Amazing Polly, but she's a phenomenal content creator, and she put that out. So that was really good stuff. I love it because he basically nails all of it. Nails all of it. So why did I bring that up? Well, because our president, I believe, is taking a page out of that book. And our president is what I like to call a truther or a conspiracy realist. Now, June 22nd of 2020. I wonder what did the president say or tweet? June 22nd, 2020. Oh, did he tweet this? Rigged 2020 election. Millions of mail-in ballots will be printed by foreign countries and others. It will be the scandal of our times. Yes, that is a legitimate laugh. That is phenomenal. Uh, so, how many out there were a conspiracy realist before 2020? Be honest. And how many did not buy into the conspiracy game before 2020? And how many were looking at Q before 2020? Or how many were looking at it and going, I don't know, this is kind of strange. Guess what? Conspiracies are real. Now, I didn't say every conspiracy was real. This is also the thing that's put on by people, even by other conspiracy theorists, is like, oh, well, not everything is a conspiracy. No shit, not everything's a conspiracy. We're not stupid. And sometimes conspiracy theorists, or realists, I should say, there's sometimes that we go down roads that we know are not fully true, but they're enjoyable to go down and think and create and wonder and things like that. So, however, yes, this is a giant conspiracy, actually a giant coup, which I'll show you another video in a little bit, against the President of the United States. They couldn't take him out for 4 years. So, instead of Joe Biden actually campaigning, instead of him actually going and campaigning, what they did was they spent all that freaking time devising this plan to try to take out the president. That's what they were doing. Now, this conspiracy goes way back. Way back. Like we're talking biblical. Now, I am not going to go into the Keystone in Pennsylvania necessarily tonight. And I'm not going to go into President Trump being the lineage of King David fully tonight. I'll drop that hint. I did do some posts. I'll go into that on a different night. Because yes, there is accuracy to it, because this is not just an American political conspiracy. This is the battle of good versus evil. This is the battle of David versus the Phoenicians, versus the Canaanites, versus the cult of Baal. That's what we're dealing with. This is literally biblical. I don't know how else to say that. And actually, every single day, it's becoming more and more clear how this works with the Q phenomenon. And I'm going to bring Dr. Tina St. John back on, because quite honestly, she clarifies and articulates so well how what we're seeing in real life here, physical universe, ties to the universe we can't necessarily see, which is out there, and how it works with planets. And trust me, I get people in the background who are like, astrology, it's not biblical. I don't know what Bible you're reading, but the Bible I read has a lot of astrology in it. So the reason I love how she brings it to us is because I grew up around some people who were reading horoscopes and astrology, but it was a very woo-woo type thing, and I like woo-woo, trust me. I'm a chiropractor. I'm in nutrition and muscle testing and quantum physics and everything else. But there is a level of woo-woo where I'm like, okay, like the tarot cards and stuff like that. I'm not saying anything against them, but like, I'm not going to go get my palms read. I'm not going to go to get tarot cards read unless somebody is referred to me who really knows what they're doing, because some of it can just be scamming. However, she nails it so well. And then I actually cross-checked some of her stuff with some followers on Twitter that I follow who I know are also really good. And they all freaking align on the same exact stuff. Like, she's nailing it. And so this is one giant conspiracy. It absolutely is. Now, I'm going to go into a couple of the states here, all right, and show you what's going on. I'm going to show you, I think I have a couple. So here is the updated map. The updated map that I was showing you last night live. Okay, this is the map. All right. Now, there you go. I'm gonna call BS on a couple of these, obviously. I'm gonna call like complete BS on a couple of these because you've been hearing about in the news. Now, let's go over here. Arizona. Arizona's BS. Arizona's gonna flip. Let's click on Arizona. There you go. You have a blue county left, and you have 3 red counties. 3 red counties that have not gone full red yet. All right? Not fully yet. However, right here, those are pretty. Those are getting bigger. That's a massive one. Massive. Another big one, right? And that one's pretty close. So, I think Arizona flips red. Personally, okay? It's not it's in within 40, it's under 1%. It's 0.8% right now is the difference. That's nothing, all right? Now, I'm going to also say something else when I'm done here, okay? Minnesota. I also don't buy Minnesota. Come on. I don't buy that. I'm not buying it. Wisconsin, I think Wisconsin is red. I have a little story about Wisconsin in a second, and it's a very fascinating story. Okay, Michigan, you're telling me that's a blue state right there? Come on, that's too close. That one's what, 100,000. We have that one's what, 21,000 ish, right? There's 100,000. That was a bigger one, okay. And I don't know all these areas, so I'm not going to try to say what cities where because I think Detroit is. Well, I don't know. Again, I'm not going to do it because I don't know where they are. That one's too close, and that one's too close. That is a fraudulent state right there. That is a Michigan is a fraudulently blue state. Wisconsin is a fraudulently blue state. All right. Illinois, even. I'm not saying Illinois is blue, but damn, that's a pretty red state right there. I'm not saying it's going to turn red. I'm just saying it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, okay? So it's 88% in, and we'll see. Virginia, he's down by what? Almost 10%, 9.5, something like that. If I click on it, a lot of red there. Again, I'm not saying it's fully blue, but I do believe Virginia would be red, possibly. North Carolina is red. It's freaking red. I don't know what else to tell you. It's red. They're just not calling it. Georgia is going to be red. Georgia's like Florida. Georgia's not going to flip. They're trying to say Atlanta is the one that's holding it up. That's a bunch of BS. Atlanta is not holding up Georgia, okay? Those are your states. Now, look at that. Look what they're doing. They have Biden within 6 points of the win. They have Biden within 6 points of they're doing that freaking on purpose, by the way. Remember I talked about how they like to build up confusion and chaos. That's what they like to do. Now, let me show you. Praying Medic put one out. This was put out. When was this one put out? This was put out tonight, actually. Okay, here you go. He says define PSYOP. Praying Medic, who I love. I give him tons of credit. He's fantastic. They've called every state they can for Biden. They still haven't called Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, or Alaska for Trump, though all of them should have been called earlier today. So there is the same map that's updated. That's not Fox. I think that's Google possibly, but I'm not positive. So same thing. Again, they're making it look catastrophic. That is what their job is right now. Now, let me show you Michigan numbers. This came out tonight. This is from Green Eggs and Ham, who I've had on the show, who is a crypto expert. Here's Michigan. All right. Okay, this is a little weird. If you go to Michigan vote totals here, okay, and you can actually open this up. So what I'll do is I'll open it up. Okay, so there's the actual resource. But let me go back here. Currently, Biden 1.893 to Trump 2.109. So wait, 51% to 46%. What? But if you go to CNN, they have it flipped. They have it flipped. Now, if I go to the Michigan, look, it's right there in front of your face. This was updated. This is updated 11/4, which is today. This was updated at 9:37 p.m. Every 10 minutes this gets updated. Look what it has. It has Trump up 2.3 million to 2.1 million, 51% to 46%. What the hell? That is the official Michigan.gov website. I mean, they have everything there, right? So, wait a second. So, but Michigan, so wait. Let me understand this. Fox has Michigan 50.3 to 48.1. This Google, I don't know what it is, but they have Michigan blue. But then we have a tweet that shows its opposite. And then we have the official Michigan.gov site. And let me refresh it just to prove myself possibly wrong. Nope, still there. Trump 51% to 46%. You think we got a problem? We have a big problem. This is the problem. They don't think that any of us out there who are the sheep, oh, that's right, we're actually the useless animals. That's what they call us. We're not smart enough to go out and actually get information from the freaking Michigan.gov website. Come on. Updated at 9:37 tonight. Updates every 10 minutes. That's 80 counties out of 83 counties. So why are they held up on their end? Now, I was driving home tonight and I was listening to, I usually listen to podcasts, but I didn't have my cable, so I was listening to some Sirius XM, listening to some Patriot Radio, and Mark Levin happened to be on. Now, I'm a love-hate with Mark Levin, but he's good, so I'll listen to him. He had a woman on from, I want to say like the Wall Street Journal, but I'm not 100% positive, and I don't recall her name. I'd have to go look it up. But she said that Wisconsin has a little bit of a problem. What is the Wisconsin problem? This is the Wisconsin problem. Wisconsin has somewhere between, if I recall correctly, now I have a tweet to go with this, but I'm not 100% sure this tweet is like the number exactly right. I think she said somewhere between 3 to 4 million voters, okay, in Wisconsin, total. 3 to 4 million voters in Wisconsin. Now, last night, they had a 89 to 91% voter turnout rate. Now, for any of us not in the political world, be like, okay, whatever. No big problem. According to her research, and she is from a major publication, so she's not going to just go, like, she's actually a legit good journalist. And she said 89 to 91% turnout rate, even for Wisconsin, which tends to turn out pretty well, is not, it's just not possible, right? Not possible. On top of that, Wisconsin claims, because they have same-day voter registration, they also said in Wisconsin that they had almost 1 million people, 900,000 some people, registered to vote day of. Between 900,000 and 1 million day of voters registered in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is trying to say officially that 30% of their entire voting base, 30% became new voters registered day of election. And as she said and Levin said, impossible. Not possible. So you're saying 30% of the voter base became new voters the day of the election in Wisconsin, and on top of that, 90 up to 91% turnout for voting in Wisconsin. Wrong. Not possible. Wisconsin, completely fraudulent. Wisconsin is red, and they're lying about it. Now, here's a tweet. So, how is this possible? Democrats are outright cheating, and that's why they were calm about the election. They had no chance of winning. Here is a Wisconsin. There you go. Wisconsin reporting. Actually, this is reporting 101% voter turnout. 3.170206 votes counted. 3,129,000 registered voters. That's a massive, massive issue. It's called fraud, folks. That's what it's called. It's called fraud. All right. And he goes down and they actually go through and come on. Complete and utter fraud. Absolute fraud. Now, let me take you back to a little video that you might recall. Let's show this one.
Secondly, we're in a situation where we have put together, and you guys did it for our administration, the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
Is that right? Is that right? Really? Voter fraud. Fantastic. Can I tell you something? Never in American political history have you ever seen the most successful campaign ever from President Trump. Why do I say that? He was filling arenas at first, campaigning. Then all the COVID junk hit. And then he went on the road and he wanted to do it outside. He started getting 15 to 20,000 people showing up at rallies outside plane hangars at airports. Then, the last month or so, he was getting 30, 40, potentially 50,000 people showing for rallies. And then the last, week or whatever it is, 4 days, 17 rallies, no less than 30,000+ people showing up. No president, no campaign in history has ever done what he did during this campaign, as opposed to Joe Biden, all right, who barely came out of the basement, had rallies for between 10 and sometimes 30 people, and they all had to get in their little circle, right? Social distancing. And he couldn't put a sentence together. He was a train wreck. And we're supposed to believe that he defeated the man who was putting 30 to 50,000 people at rallies. Impossible. However, what happens if you have a coup? Here we go.
Someone who's been watching all of this is Darren Beattie. He's a former speechwriter for President Trump. He works now with Revolver News, the website. He says this is part of a familiar plan. In a recent piece, Revolver argued that Democratic operatives, including some who testified during the impeachment proceedings, are adopting the same tactics that U.S. intel agencies use to start so-called color revolutions in places like Ukraine. Darren Beattie joins us tonight to explain. Darren, thanks so much for coming on. So, for our viewers who are not familiar with the color revolutions in Eastern Europe, state as clearly as you can what you think is going on right now in this election. What's the end game for Democrats?
Yes, thank you for having me. Many have described the actions taken against Trump as a coup. And this is certainly correct, but it's a little bit general and vague. What's unfolding before our eyes is a very specific type of coup called the color revolution. It's a regime change model favored by many in our national security apparatus, particularly against Eastern European countries, to overthrow, target regimes that they don't like. One model, which is not the color revolution model, is purely sending a bunch of troops into a country and removing by military force a leader you don't like. That's like the Iraq model.
Right.
The color revolution model is a little bit more delicate and subtle. It has several characteristics, but the chief characteristics of it is a combination of an engineered contested elections scenario combined with massive mobilized protests, which they call, as a term of art, peaceful protests and acts of civil disobedience. If that sounds familiar, it gets even better. It's not only the same strategies and tactics used against Trump that's used against Eastern European dictators that our national security apparatus doesn't like. It's literally the same people who are color revolution professionals who have a long history of using these same tactics against foreign leaders they don't like to use against democratically elected President Donald Trump. It's the same people using the very same playbook. Now, I'd like to talk about one of the key figures in this operation, a nexus point not only between color revolutions overseas and the color revolution against Trump, but a nexus point between lawfare and mass mobilization and so-called peaceful protests. This is a man by the name of Norm Eisen. Norm Eisen is a key legal hatchet man, Democrat operative, former Obama ethics czar, believe it or not. And he is also a key architect of nearly every effort to censor, sue, impeach, and overthrow the president. He is the author of, in fact, a color revolution playbook, literally called the playbook. And one of the items he calls for in his playbook to overthrow regimes overseas he doesn't like is engineering election fraud scenarios, using election fraud to engineer mass protests to question the legitimacy of the target leader. Norm Eisen has a long and checkered history going all the way back to his days at Crew, which is a lawfare arm. He's been behind over 180 lawsuits against Trump. He authored 10 articles of impeachment before the president's phone call was even made. He was special counsel to the Democrats for the impeachment process. He was literally involved in every aspect of this color revolution against Trump. His latest act, and perhaps his greatest act coming up, is to use lawfare in order to overturn the 2020 election using various legal theories, principally his theory about...
Norm Eisen. Remember the name. I'm sorry, Darren, we're out of time. I appreciate that. We'll be right back. Thank you.
So that's very important. So you can go watch that at other places as well, because he kind of like just vomited a bunch of information. However, that is what we're looking at. This is literally a color revolution. It's a coup against the president with election fraud. Let me take you to a few tweets before we end off tonight. So, massive election fraud. You've basically all been scammed. The whole thing is a projection poll given to the entire mainstream media by one company working for the Gates Foundation. It's the Gates Foundation again. All right? Here we go. Edison. This is the company. They're involved. They're with the mainstream media. There you go. They work with the election pool, election coverage day. All right. This is the biggest election scandal and a mega fraud against the American public ever perpetrated. The polling company who has sole contract frauded the data to send to the MSN so that Trump could not call the election win, and you thought Biden won, so the polls closed. They then closed the polls and races. People think Biden won. Candidates concede defeats that never happened because they think they lost. Voters don't go to vote because they think the races are over and are disenfranchised, swinging races. Total criminal treason and fraud. Who is behind it? Gates, Facebook, Google, Apple, Spotify, globalist organizations that hate Trump and are all under criminal investigations by the Trump administration. They have rigged the elections, colluding just like banning his posts and banning conservatives. Edison Research has the sole contract to gather exit polling and to forecast or make up numbers for the votes, and have done this for 16 years at least, to give the MSM to then lie to your face on TV, and the whole thing is a rigged fraud. So let me tell you something about, I'm not going to go through that whole thing. You can go look at it. It's Alpha Omega Energy. All right, this is what I want you to say. So I actually asked this question of several people today, and people are a little nervous about what happened last night. They're nervous the president's not going to win. They're nervous that we're going to lose the next 4 years. However, I'm not panicking, and I'm actually very excited. Why am I excited? I asked several people today, how many election nights in your life have you watched? How many have you watched? And they say, well, I watched last night. Okay, I got it. They say, well, I watched 2016. Okay, how many besides 2016 did you watch? And they said, well, I never did watch one. I never watched one, and I just watched 2016. Okay, that means you've never watched any. I've been watching these for a long period of time. I'm still learning about them. However, last night, keep in mind, the last 9 months roughly, we've had basically no sports. We have been riding those momentum curve up to election day. Last night, when I left my office at about 7 o'clock, I could literally feel the tension and energy in the air. Like people are at home watching this. They turned election night 2020 into the Super Bowl times 1,000. There were so many people watching last night who got no sleep. All right? What happened was, if you were one of those ones who either watched it for the first time or maybe just the second time and haven't really been involved in these, guess what? This is because America, their responsibility was taken out of politics so they could run wild with our government, and we would just go about our business, not care because we couldn't change anything. And last night we were all tuned in, and you got to see they've been defrauding elections for decades upon decades upon decades. Last night was nothing new. Now, last night was way over the top, but they've been doing this for a long time. Last night, the president and his administration, along with probably the military and their people behind the scenes, were able to show you, like in hyper focus, in like over the top, what actually occurs, and the fact that the election was stolen last night. If you take out the fraud from last night, the president wins by an overwhelming landslide. Now, there's been a comment running around that watch the water. Watch the water. Now, I am not going to say for 100% sure that this is what that means, but I will tell you it is it is spiraling crazily on Twitter right now. And that is the watermarks possibly on the ballots. The watermarks on the ballots. Let me take you here to mail-in voting. Let me zoom in on this if I can. Whoop, it won't let me on this one. Okay, sorry. So this is mail-in voting. It shows the type, safeguard, description, and an in-person equivalent. So ballots and envelopes, signature verification, voter validation, voter authentication, cure process. Down at the bottom, we have ballot watermarks. Some ballots have watermarks indicating that the ballot is authentic. Watermarks are specific to each election and confirm the ballot was printed by an approved printing authority. If you go to in-person equivalent, that is not available. All right? Could this be watch the water? Is that what this is? Now, here is Alex Padilla, the Secretary of State of the state of California, August 5th, 2020. Here you go. County Clerk Registrar of Voters to all county clerks. Okay, pursuant to Election Code Section 13002, I'm not going to read that whole thing. The watermark for the November 3rd, 2020 general election is the California poppy. The tint for the background and watermark is red PMS 192. The watermark and tint must appear on the ballot itself, not only on the stub. Now, there's apparently another one that is out there that the military was also involved in, and I think Homeland Security as well. Don't quote me on that. Okay. Now, POTUS is gearing up. POTUS he's assembling the Trump legal all-stars. Sidney Powell, the lawyer for the National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, may also be called upon. But here is also, this is, hold on. Here we go. Here we go. This is Jay, and I always mess up his last name, Sekulow. Here you go. Jay Sekulow, okay, Chief Counsel. He is being called upon by the president to come in, and basically they're saying he is one of the most powerful attorneys on the planet. So kind of a big deal. Now, I'm going to show you this one really quick. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but this is a Twitter feed. All right, Department of Homeland Security. They printed ballots. They have radioactive isotopes and watermarks and other identifiers. This isn't advertised broadly, but the info is out there. Ballots printed by other parties or foreign countries won't pass muster when challenged in the court. All right, so this is actually going through it. This is actually Q drops as well and showing where they are in the map. When you produce a block of 110,000 plus ballots at 4 a.m. in the morning after midnight on election day, and none of them have the isotope or the watermark or other identifiers, Trump laughs in your face as they get tossed. Also, remember, Trump knew what was coming. He said in his 2 a.m. statement, we don't need them finding ballots at 4 a.m. and adding them to the list. He knew it. What happened 2 hours later after he said that? That's what happened. They only telegraphed this strategy repeatedly over the past several months. He didn't advertise what his countermeasures would be to what they were planning. They went through with it, and now he'll go through with his countermeasures. And here's an addendum. You can go through this one as well. And then I want to show you this last part. Remember, 70% of the sealed indictments are for voter fraud. If I click on this, it brings up this. Ballot Gate, the two-election trap, how the future proves the past. The Dem ballot fraud method. Dem ballot fraud 1. Dems pre-fill out blank ballots before the election. Number 2, Dems use election staff to destroy opposing ballots. Number 3, Dems deliberately organize voting for non-citizens. 4, Dems store votes to alter outcome during election. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, one of the most corrupt individuals on the freaking planet. Just so you know. The trap. DHS finds 16 fraud using standard deviation outliers. DHS obtains legal FISA warrants. DHS forensically marks selected blank ballots. DHS video data and phone tracking recording the crimes. All of it right here, and look who is involved. There you go. Military planning on November 8th, 2016. 2017 is setting the stage. 2018 is baiting the cook. November 6th, 2018 is catch the fish. I'm going to tell you right now. Do you think that President Trump, who beat Hillary Clinton in 2016, do you think that he wouldn't already pre-plan and know what was going to happen in 2020? They weren't going to let him win again. So they had to do anything possible to destroy him and not let him win the election. I guarantee you over the last 4 years, this was being set up. We were saying yesterday, I was asked several times, I think it would be a landslide. So, was I like, oh my God, it's not a landslide? Yeah, I was a little shocked, but I think it actually is a landslide. And I think Trump created the landslide with his campaigning, knowing full well that he needed it close because they were going to cheat. And now this is literally the perfect setup for showing the destruction. And look at those faces again. Those are the ones who are involved with this whole thing, and many, 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 many more. Okay? Many more. This is going to lead to things like voter ID. He's been saying voter ID for how long? Voter ID is coming. We will probably also have blockchain technology. I'm not going to go into that fully tonight. We'll talk about that later, what blockchain technology is. But this is where they're going. Remember, what is the keystone? Is Keystone Pennsylvania? Is Pennsylvania the central spot that we need to be focusing on? Because if you go to Revelation 3:7, it talks about the Church of Philadelphia and David. And what else happened in Philadelphia? Oh, that's right. The founding of the nation. The Declaration of Independence. And then where did they go today to make the announcement that they were declaring all those states? Oh, that's right. Philadelphia. Yeah. The president hasn't been talking about the founding of our nation for no reason. He hasn't been talking about returning to our founding principles for no reason. He hasn't been talking about giving school choice back to parents for no reason. He hasn't been talking about installing an executive order for the 1776 Commission for no reason. This is a plan. I have said many times on this show, we do not worship Q. We do not worship Trump. We do not worship politicians. We don't worship men or women. We worship God. Many worship Christ. Other entities or deities that they choose to, whatever your spiritual path is. However, I trust the plan, but I also research and gain knowledge. Do I trust Q? Yeah, until Q proves that nothing's wrong. And don't give me the whole arrest thing, right? You got anyone out there right now who's going, I haven't seen anything happening. There's no arrests. How many Q drops have you read, and how much research have you actually done? And I'm gonna almost guarantee it's next to nothing. So don't talk to anybody about that, because there's many of us out there, myself and many other Anons who've done far deeper decoding, who can school the hell out of you any day of the week. But guess what? That plan is a hell of a lot better plan than you freaking have, because freaking out over this whole thing doesn't get anything done. It doesn't accomplish anything. So take your negativity and put it back in your corner. So what we do is we trust the plan, but we also use logical, critical thinking and common sense. And if this plan goes awry, or the president or an administration or anybody else turns, we know to pivot. We know to go in the right direction, because ultimately at the end of the day, this is not about just a plan. This is about a truth movement. This is about freedom. This is about liberty. This is about sovereignty. This is about returning and restoring the republic. This is about connecting back to God, back to source. This is about raising the vibration in America. This is about raising the vibration on the planet. This is about not just America. This is about other countries. I want to help and save Australia, New Zealand, the Netherlands. When Janet was on, Janet Asavad, who has done a tremendous service to potentially hundreds of millions of people on the planet. She's Dutch. She's in the Netherlands, and they're essentially in a slave prison situation right now. A woman who is literally saving the planet is being suppressed right now. We need to raise this all up. We need to be positive, and we have to trust right now. That's what we have to do. Now, that does not mean don't do good works. We still have to bust our butt. I go to work every day. I help people. I'm studying. I'm reading. I'm researching. That doesn't mean you just sit back and trust the plan. You also have to get your own great awakening. You have to get your awakening up here. All right? You have to grow. Jesus said, it's biblical. Good works. You don't just get to sit back and trust the plan and win with the rest of us. You have to put work in. You have to put effort in. All right? Good. All right, folks. I'm going to go call it an evening so I can be ready and back and fired up tomorrow. I want you to do me a favor as always. Raise the frequency of everything. I want you to go out tomorrow, go out this week, go out this coming weekend, and I want you to serve and help somebody. Whether it's paying it forward with actual money, helping somebody buy something, paying for groceries, paying for somebody who needs something, or it's opening a door, or it's carrying groceries, or it's helping a child, whatever it may be. Serve and help your fellow man. That is what we do as Americans. That's what we do as patriots. That's what we do as humanitarians. Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network. I love you all. Have a great night. Get rest, because this ain't over. The storm is coming.